Hey folks, here at osmvtxreviews.com. You're watching our long overdue review of the HTC Dash 3G. This is a smartphone that is on contract with T-Mobile for $129 with a 2-year service agreement. It's produced by HTC. Even when this device was released around 2 to 3 years ago, this model in particular was never really meant to be a flagship model of T-Mobile's lineup or really any HTC-based device. However, the HTC Dash 3G was something that came to basically all carriers in terms of different, but it came with different names attached to them, such as the HTC Ozone for Verizon Wireless. And so it's something that, was universal at the time, and it did come in different carrier subsidizations and different color schematics and some small differences, but in my opinion, the T-Mobile version is actually the best version in terms of the HTC Dash series, especially the 3G, which is the second generation model. I happen to think this because it has, in my opinion, the sleekest design. It combines one of the better keyboards in terms of design and still retains a very impressive spec sheet, including a GSM quad-band SIM card slot on the back, a micro SD card slot on the back. You have a host of wireless features such as, again, 3G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS, which all work flawlessly. And of course, again, you have that brilliant keyboard that is one of the best for HTC, especially in this portrait style in terms of orientation. Now, taking a look at the design of the device, it has a pretty discreet and modern look to the smartphone. It uses a lot of glossy plastic materials and also soft touch materials on the back to make it feel pretty well-rounded and definitely feel solidly constructed. It doesn't creak or cringe or feel too cheap in the hand. But again, on the back, you can see it has a 2.0 megapixel fixed focus camera without an LED flash. There's a loudspeaker on the top. And also, this device is a My Faves phone, so you can get 5 contacts to be unlimited callers on your network. You can also get this as a hotspot phone because it has Wi-Fi, and you can just upgrade that if you want to call T-Mobile, and it basically allows you to talk for free using the Wi-Fi network, and so you don't have to use your 3G or data minutes to take up talk time if you are at home or at Starbucks or any other location that has Wi-Fi connectivity. The right-hand side device features a semi-proprietary charging port. I call it semi-proprietary because it basically charges via the mini USB standard, which is the old standard of charging. Today's new standard, of course, is micro USB, but you can see it has a slightly slanted angle on the side here, and that really represents the fact that it also dubs as the headphone jack, and that's because this device, believe it or not, did not have a dedicated 3.5mm headphone jack, which was quite disappointing because for audiophiles out there, you can't actually listen to your music without having an adapter, which is quite cumbersome and reduces the overall sound quality. But the device does have stereo Bluetooth, so you can connect a pair of Bluetooth headphones and listen to music, or just use the loudspeaker, which again is quite good. The left-hand side device features a volume rocker that's easy to press, and no other buttons dominate this very minimalistic design. The front of the phone has 2 talk and end keys that also dubs as a power key, 2 hotkeys, as well as a home and a back key. The front plate is made kind of out of metal, which makes the device seem a little bit more classy overall. Something to note here is the front of the screen here measures 2.4 inches diagonally. It's pretty bright and vibrant. It's a QVGA resolution, and it has a pretty good color saturation. It's extremely bright and even readable under direct sunlight, even though it's kind of glare prone. This is actually the lowest setting in terms of the screen brightness because we had to make it be able to be seen on camera. And the device does not have a proximity sensor. You have to manually adjust the brightness yourself. Taking a closer look at the actual QWERTY keyboard, it's well risen above the surface, and it's very tactile and easy to press. And down below the spacebar is your microphone. As far as keyboards go, again, some of the best for HTC and just most portrait-style smartphones in general. It definitely rivals that of I think, a Blackberry-style keyboard. Even though it's slightly different design, it's still very tactile and largely spaced. So even people with larger hands won't have much trouble with typing on this device for text messaging and editing your office documents on the go. It has a very interesting honeycomb-like design pattern. You can see how some of the rows are indented in different ways, and this kind of resembles that of an actual keyboard on a laptop or a PC or even a Mac, and so it's easy to type on, and it has a great customizable layout that we found to be very user-friendly. Now, one critique we did have for the design overall was the fact that the trackball and some of the keys on the keyboard are not backlit, and this makes the device kind of difficult to operate in darker environments, unlike the Blackberry counterparts, the Pearl, which has a backlit Pearl. So it's, again, a little bit more difficult to use, especially if you're using it at night. As far as the internals are concerned, the device runs on a 528 MHz processor, so quite low end in terms of that, but it isn't too sluggish because it does run on Windows 6.1 Standard Edition, and you can see that everything runs pretty smoothly and fine. HTC has done a little bit of customization to make the device operate exclusively for that trackball navigation, which I do prefer to a physical D-pad, which is again found on the HTC Ozone, which is a similar device, the counterpart to this on Verizon. I think this is a little bit more sleek, more handsome, and also it works better as a physical mouse. It's kind of dubs as a directional pad when you're using the web browser specifically, and I found it to be just a little bit more easier to use and also sleek and easier to control. So you can see you have a time clock on the front home screen. You can also see your Wi-Fi settings and your battery settings. You can also cycle through your emails, and of course you can slide left and right to see see the different pages of each application, and that works quite well. You have YouTube updates, mail updates, weather updates, the web browser updates, and again you can listen to music and set the clock and time, email, and it works very well, and it's a very sleekly designed system, which is something that's rare in terms of Windows Mobile. As far as the main home screen is concerned, however, not much customization has been done. As far as bloatware, there isn't too many. There aren't actually any real different apps that HTC has installed. Something that is new, however, is the addition of a Adobe PDF reader on this device. Of course, this is a reader version, which means you can't edit it, but it still is better than nothing. And the same thing goes with the Office Mobile Suite. Even though you can edit, even though you can see the Excel, OneNote Mobile, and PowerPoint Mobile, and Word Mobile, you can't edit it because it's a standard version smartphone and not a classical version, which has a touchscreen. And those you have the editing capabilities. But still, the keyboard really does come in handy when you're browsing the web and typing long addresses, especially for typing long emails and sending text messages. It works like a breeze. The email client, by the way, it has live notification system, so whenever you have something new, it pops up via a LED indicator that is red, and it tells you have a new message, and it works extremely well. Again, you can travel back and forth and go through your messages in a trackball-like fashion, which is easy to navigate and extremely easy to utilize, especially with the keyboard combined. So I was very impressed with the email experience and the messaging experience on this handset, even if the editing tools are a little bit limited. Now, web applications are installed by HTC and T-Mobile. They include Facebook, Google Maps, Marketplace for downloading more apps. It's basically the App Store for Windows Mobile. You have a MSN Messenger, Microsoft My Phone, MSN Money, which is a stock viewer, MSN Weather, a quick GPS fixer. I think to note, it does have GPS on here, but you have to use it again with Google Maps, or you can use it with Telenav, which requires a monthly subscription fee of, for Telenav to actually operate. But if you want to install something like TomTom and not pay a fee or have a connection to, data connection in order to use Google Maps, you can install TomTom Maps, but that will cost you around $50 to do so. There's also a YouTube browser that operates via 3G as well as Wi-Fi. There's also a search widget. Basically, it's like a universal search widget. You can search on the web for different words and searches. It works pretty well. I wouldn't really call it a widget, which I'm not sure why they do so. Taking a quick look at the YouTube page, you can see there has been a lot of customization going on, and it works extremely well, in my opinion. I think that it's actually quite impressive. Again, for listening to music and watching videos on this device is a breeze because of the pretty high resolution display, but the speaker does work well, but a downside to this is, of course, you can't plug in your own pair of headphones or 3.5mm headphones without using that adapter, which is quite tedious. You can, of course, play back videos, and they do work pretty well. And if we go back just to a sample video, camera error on the BBC News, for example, you can see there's a customized view where you can play and pause videos, skip tracks, and go back, and information for videos. And you can see that all videos also take up the full screen of the device when they accordingly respond to that. Some of them only take up a part, but they do work quite well. You can see, of course, the user responses to the comments, and it's a very nicely optimized view, and it's, I think, better than most of other YouTube applications installed on Windows mobile devices. It's fast, responsive, and although not HD quality, it plays back most content well, even in today's standards. So taking a look at that applications drawer, this is where the Adobe PDF reader came in handy. There's also a Java application for you to install that. The file manager works extremely well because, again, you can use that micro SD card. Speaking of the call quality, the device works without a hiccup. Reception was very, very strong. Same thing with Wi-Fi. Even when we were quite a far distance from the router, it still picked up signal just fine. Battery life is also extremely impressive, as you might guess, from a non-touchscreen device with a smaller screen. The device was able to go without having to recharge it for around a week, which is definitely impressive, especially for a modern smartphone. So as far as web browsing is concerned, you are kind of limited to the native browser, which is just Internet Explorer, which we are never fans of, and we aren't fans of. And that's because it relies, again, on a very outdated and not very slick version of kind of optimizing and showing up text we would much more recommend you to utilize something along the lines of Opera Mini, which is free and you can install that on yourself. But of course, Windows Mobile Internet Explorer does work. It loads also the full pages of content, so you don't have to use the mobile version. So that's a good news for it. You can use Google, of course. It tells you you're connected to Wi-Fi, and again, you can see how the optical trackpad now comes in as a mouse, so it works really well. You can also adjust the sensitivity of the trackpad inside of the settings, so you can allow it to travel a bit faster or slower accordingly. And overall, we're pretty surprised with it, and also offers kinetic scrolling. So if you scroll really fast, it goes down quite a bit, and it allows you to go through your content a little bit faster. So, overall, the HTC Dash 3G is definitely an impressive device in terms of, offering a unique take on a portrait-style device. Of course, is it up to the standards of a Blackberry device? I would be hesitant to say that because it doesn't do much to really differentiate itself from a Blackberry device in terms of features and department. But you do have that Windows Mobile operating system instead of Blackberry OS, which is a little bit more open. It's a little bit more customizable, and there are a little bit more fans out there that allows you to customize it with more applications, and there's a little bit more support for it. But otherwise, I still think the more cohesive system would be something along the lines of a Blackberry smartphone. But still, the device has a very compelling keyboard, has a great trackball navigation system, and overall, it's a solid device if you're looking for a messaging style device from HTC and you are on a budget but still want all the connectivity features. I think it also makes for a great first or a backup emergency smartphone device. So thanks for watching this video review here at osmvtxreviews.com. That's been the HTC Dash 3G.